Welcome back to our channel. So today we are going to be talking about something that's a little bit spicier than our last video, which was the infidelity video. If you didn't watch it, go watch it. It was some really good tips in there, some really good conversations that we had, right? So we're going to be talking about physical intimacy on camera. So this has affected our relationship, and I feel like it's affected a lot of marriages, a lot of relationships. You want to give them like a background of what your experience has been?
So for me, it started around 10 years old. And it just escalated from there, just seeing it on TV on accident. And then it became seeing magazines and just this field where I used to live, and somebody just threw away a trash bag full of Playboy magazines. And so found myself going up there every day, just looking at these half destroyed, half weathered magazines. Just escalated from there. And it felt to me like everybody that I knew, all of my friends growing up, everybody was dealing with the same thing. You go over a friend's house, they're talking about looking up porn. And it's just like this thing that's just become an epidemic with males for sure. I can't speak for the female part, but just growing up in church, that was something that was never really talked about. And then I joined this men's group, and I finally started to see men being authentic and not acting all holy and like they don't got any issues going on with them. We was able to really sit down and everybody express what they're going through, and come to find out all of these other men were dealing with the same thing.
So why did you join the men's group though?
I joined this men's group because I just wanted to be a better man. I wanted to grow, learn how to be vulnerable. It was just for being a better man. And this was one of the huge topics that was covered in there. So didn't know all of the scientific things behind it. The fact that pornography is 4 times worse than cocaine to the brain. And they did, I think it was MRIs, but basically just showing a cocaine addict and the atrophy that happens to the brain. And atrophy meaning deterioration, like loss of size. But the atrophy that happens from a cocaine addict, it was 4 times worse for a pornography addict.
So when did you know you were addicted? Or did you ever know when it became an issue? You feel like it was
think I knew when we were married. I can't say what point, but I knew when I started to become irritated and frustrated with myself for continuing to watch this, continuing to masturbate, and how I felt towards myself after that. So getting to the point where I'm not doing this no more. And that's what I said, that's what I meant. But yet and still, I found myself doing it again.
Yeah. So I know joining the men's group was very beneficial. Maybe you could speak on it from the aspect of fantasy versus reality.
Yeah, pornography isn't real. It's not real. It's just like kids watching movies or watching wrestling thinking, oh, this is like a real thing. I can do these moves just like the wrestlers do, or what you see a superhero do on TV, but it's like, this is production.
Acting, literally.
Yeah, it's acting. And when you can see like the stuff behind the scenes, what's really going on, and these actors, how their lives really are and how it's affected by this acting, then it makes you feel a completely different way. It really does. But trying to be like these actors and doing what you see in porn, it's overstimulation. So it's kind of like eating natural food versus artificial food. Artificial food is going to be a lot more stimulating. Crack versus cocaine. All right, there's cocaine, that's a natural version, and then there's crack.
We're not advocating, we're just saying.
No, that ain't got nothing to do. I don't know anything. I haven't had a personal experience with it. It's for pain relief if it's used in the correct way. You get what I'm saying? That's what a lot of pain medication is derived from. But if it's used what it's for,
it's supposed to be,
it's for pain relief.
Right. When he says it's natural, he doesn't mean it's natural, you can use it.
It's not saying do it. I'm just saying something that's in a natural form and then it's a synthetic. So there's sex and then there's pornography. So sex in its natural form is already amazing in and of itself. When our bodies, when our vessels are cleaned out, when we know how to truly use these vessels and use sex for what it's for. So when you start getting into pornography, that's not real sex. It's acting. So all of the things behind it, everything that they do is acting. So when that's your first experience with sex, real intimacy, you can just kiss that goodbye. Because it's not going to line up with what you know to be true for sex. You get introduced to this as a kid, oh, that's what sex is. especially when your parents don't talk to you about sex. You got to
Yeah.
just take it from what you see. So it's impossible to have true intimacy because you got
If
this
you're
fantasy in your mind of what sex really is. So
right.
like your partner can't live up to that
And I
because it ain't real. So that's how it affected us, having a real connection. That didn't happen for many, many years in our relationship. It was sex.
but I think
Like
we
it
didn't
was
even
it
know
was a
that though.
release. It was a release for me. And it was like whatever for her, like it's a duty. You know what I'm saying? Like for her. And I feel like that's what most marriages and most relationships are.
But I feel like you're right in what you're saying. It impacts relationships. And ultimately, as a woman, when you have that experience that your husband or someone that you're in a relationship with is battling with that, I think you internalize that and you personalize it and you make it about you when at the end of the day, it literally has nothing to do with you. But I think as women, oh, well, why is he looking at this? Or why does he feel the need to do this? There must be something wrong with me. I think that's the same thing when it comes to cheating. We take it personal when if you can
Mm-hmm.
realize that's the issue that you have. That doesn't have anything to do with me. And I think that's what I did. I internalized it and I looked at myself and I'm like, well, dang, why is he doing this and this? Like, I'm right here. You know what I'm saying? Not realizing this was going on way before you even came into the picture. For women that are dealing with that, it's important to understand that it has nothing to do with you. It's nothing that you're not doing. It's nothing that is something physically wrong with you or you're not attractive. It has nothing to do with that. This is something that someone else is battling with and dealing with. You're just feeling the effects and the impact of the decisions of somebody that you love. That's really ultimately what that is.
Yeah.
And I think when you look at it from that aspect, you can realize that's a you problem. You know what I'm
Mm-hmm.
saying? Not to not be empathetic to an addiction, but it's like, I'm not going to personalize that. I'm not going to make this about me because it's not about me. You have something that you have to work on. So it's really important to not make it about you and make yourself feel like you're unworthy or you're doing something wrong or when none of that is true. It's just like any other addiction. If somebody is on drugs, alcohol, that has everything to do with them and what they're dealing with in here. You know what I'm
Mm-hmm.
saying?
Yeah. And I think, you know, in a relationship, people need to know, okay, what you're willing to deal with. So I would say, looking back, that would be something that you're like, all right, are you going to fix this? Do you want to heal from this? Do you want to be done with it? If not, let me know. You know what I'm saying? So
Yeah.
we can move
Yeah.
forward. Because one thing that I also realized when it came to being in the men's group, there's physical abuse, there's mental abuse, there's emotional abuse. And so what I was doing was, it was like, all right, I'm done with this. And then I have an issue with it. And then I got to come back and say, I've had an issue with it again. You get what I'm saying? And what I learned in that group was just keep your mouth closed, work on what you need to work on. And when you're done with it, then you come to your spouse and let them know because it's emotional abuse.
Yeah.
Just continuing to deal with the same thing over again, just like the cheating, that's emotional abuse. All of these things that we do in relationships, we don't look at it like that, but man, when we're dealing with the same things over and over again, we're not making the best decisions. That's abuse to the other person.
And I think it's topics that aren't discussed. We never discuss that. To be in the dating scene now, there's so many different topics and viewpoints that it's like, what was your take
Yeah.
on this? But it's like porn is such a big topic and I think it's something that has become so normalized. And it's like at the end of the day, if that's something that you do in your relationship and that's working for you, by all means, continue to do what's working for you. But it's like if you realize that that's something that you have an issue with or that's something in your relationship that you have an issue with, you have to address it. Because when you step back and you think, why is watching someone else have this physical intimacy? Why does that do something for me? Why does that get me in the mood? I have this physical
Right.
person right here who I'm supposed to love and care about. We're supposed to just be in this together. Why are we looking at other people doing this sacred act? And I think it's because it's not looked at as a sacred spiritual act. When at the end of the day, that's exactly what it is. And so when you look at pornography and they try to make this really spiritual, sacred act into just this physical, just, I don't even know, trash, it devalues the whole concept. And like what you were
Mm-hmm.
saying earlier, so now we're looking at it as just this physical thing that men, you're just wanting a release when it's so much deeper than that. It's so spiritual, it's so sacred. And obviously, we didn't learn that until we went on our journey individually and together. But it's like, I don't think people realize how much pornography really impacts you and your relationship. And I think that people think that they really do have this amazing sex life And it's like, it's just a physical thing for you. When all you're seeking after is physical pleasure, man, like, that's just a different type of life. And you don't understand the deeper aspect and the spiritual aspect of things. You're just out here unaware of the actual true fulfillment and the true
Value.
meaning and, yes, and value of what that sacred act really is. And we can speak on that because we've experienced it. So when you're saying, like, when we look back and how our physical intimacy was, it was just physical. That's all that was. Just a physical act. It had nothing to do with God. It wasn't spiritual. It wasn't sacred. We thought it was at the time. You know, you think that you're making love or you think that you're doing something. And then when you excel and you grow and you evolve and you look back and you realize, whew, what was that? You know what I'm saying? Like, it's very different. But I think pornography is such a big topic, and it's actually really sad because in a relationship, I think you got to come to a point to where you ask yourself, why are we doing this? Or why are we watching this?
As for a heterosexual male, that's weird. Watching another man have sex with another woman. And I don't think people look at it like that. And I feel like even as a kid, I thought about that. Even like a young teenager, you watching porn with your friend. And it's like, why are y'all both watching this man? Like Kevin Gates said, you celebrating another man's success. That's homosexual when you really think about it. So it's a lot of traps out here that's getting men, women, everyone ensnared. And it's like, it's a slippery slope.
And I think it's one of those things to where I think sometimes people think, oh, it's not an issue for me. I watch it randomly or I do whatever. And at the end of, listen, this is just our opinion and our experience. Whatever you're doing with your life and whatever's working for you, that's completely fine. Keep doing that. I cannot stress that enough. I don't want anybody to say, oh, we do this. That's great for you. Do what you do. We are just sharing our experience, right? And our opinion based off of our experience. But I think when you're watching pornography or you and your significant other are doing that together, I think when you get to a point to where you stop doing something and you step outside of it and you get to experience both sides, like you get to experience your relationship with doing that, you get to experience your relationship with coming out of that and no longer doing that, you get to choose which one works better for you, right? And so for us, we were never people that just sat and watched porn together. That's never been my thing. That's never been something that we did. And this goes back to the normalizing stuff. I don't even know how that came about, how I found out, but I know for a fact that when I did find out, I knew it was an issue, but I'm like, I mean, everybody watches porn. Like, that's just a thing. You know what I'm saying? So I think women, sometimes because it's been so normalized, you get to a point to where, or you like downplay how you feel or you kind of question like, dang, you know, it's not really that big of a deal. Everybody does it. I don't see an issue with it when internally you're kind of like, why are you doing that? I'm right here. Like, how does that even make sense? However, you got to be able to step back and you got to be able to think for yourself. You have to just ask the question, what we said, why are we watching this? What is this doing for us? Why do we feel like we can't just get in the mood ourselves? Why do we need to watch somebody else and then we want to do what they're doing? It's just like this, it's a whole thing.
I'll tell you why. Here's the reason why people are doing it. It's because you're seeking dopamine. That's why everybody's doing it. It's a dopamine. Your dopamine receptors aren't firing like they're supposed to be. Let me say it in this way because I don't want to feel judgmental. But my dopamine receptors weren't firing the way they were supposed to be. So I needed this artificial way of producing dopamine. And that's what happens. That's why people get addicted to cocaine. Dopamine makes them feel good. That's why they get addicted to any drug. It makes them feel good. That's why they get addicted to food. It's a drug too, because it makes you feel good. So when your energy centers aren't all open like the way they're supposed to be in your body, you got energy clogged up, you can't produce these chemicals the natural way through thought and through your emotions. So you get an outside source to give you the dopamine. Because for every man, and all men are the same way when it comes to sex, all of that. If a man's having sex with a woman that he's not in love with, like it's just a physical act, soon as it's done, you feel like crap. Masturbating from watching pornography, soon as it's done, you feel like crap. Up until that point, it was amazing. It was pure bliss. So you think. But soon as you have that release, which is really just us like killing ourselves slowly because we're losing our life force every time we ejaculate. Once you get that hit, like you're done. Like it's no longer fun anymore. The same way people, when they do drugs and that high wears off, that's it. That high is gone as soon as you ejaculate. It's gone. You feel like crap. You want to go to sleep. You're tired. Like
Yeah.
dopamine. That's why. So when we can get this body cleaned out and cleared out, what it boils down to with we're spirits, we have a soul, we live in a body. All of it works together in unison. So when one thing is off, everything is off. But you can bet your bottom dollar if your temple, if your body is not cleaned out, if your body is sick, if you don't got the correct nutrients in your body, you're not eating what you're supposed to be eating, just know that your mind is going to be jacked up. That's where the dopamine comes from. So it's like all of this stuff ties together, and we're going to talk about health and all of that stuff, how that plays into all of this. But man, we got a lot of
So
stuff, to share, even like you talked about with the sex and what that really is and how it's supposed to be and what
right.
it can be when you experience it in the right way. Man, we just been lied to. We've been given, here, look at this. This is what it's about. That's why we've been in little kid shows. They're showing what romance is supposed to be. You got like TV shows that showing what a relationship is supposed to look like. We're getting pushed. All of this crap is being shoved into our face of what I want you to think this is, what I want you to think is normal, what I want you to think true life is. And we gotta back up and stop being just in the program, in the matrix, and learn how to look around and see everything is a lie. It's all a lie. All of this mainstream stuff is a lie. Everything that they told us was a lie. I'm sure anybody that goes to church, I'm sure you probably heard your pastor say, well, God made sex for pleasure. If you could show me one place in the Bible, I'll give you $100. Show me one place in the Bible where it says that God made sex for pleasure, because God didn't make sex for pleasure. So that means that obviously your pastor is lying. And I've heard many a pastor say that, but it's not for pleasure. It's for procreation.
Right.
It's to manifest. So we just got to really just step back and learn to hear from God. Learn how to be quiet, learn how to be in solitude, learn how to find out what truth is for yourself and not just depend on other people. And that's where we are as a society. Nobody knows how to trust God because nobody knows how to trust themselves, because nobody knows how to truly care for themselves. Nobody knows how we're truly supposed to eat. Nobody knows how we're truly supposed to treat ourselves, how we're truly supposed to treat others. It's like we're in, like you said, a matrix of confusion.
Right. So what would be your
Man,
advice for guys that are dealing with this?
my advice for any man that's dealing with this, number one, be honest with you, because if you don't think you have a problem, it's nothing to fix. All right. So if you do have a problem, try to find someone that can be an accountability partner for you. If you don't have someone that you trust, someone that's close to you that can be an accountability partner for you, you can reach out to me. Like, we do one-on-ones. I help people all the time. But pornography is an epidemic. It's plaguing people not only nationwide, it's plaguing people worldwide. And it's like, we got to do something about it. We got to take back control of our bodies. We got to take back control of our minds. We got to take back control of our children's minds. It's really sad the direction that things are going. And now they're making robots. Like, it ain't even just like regular porn no more. It started graduating to point of view porn. So it's like, make it seem like, oh, it's for you. This is you in this experience. And then now it's starting to go to robots. They're really making robots because people are so disconnected. People don't think it, but people are being turned into AI slowly but surely
It's like
because they're artificial, especially when you put artificial things in your body nonstop. You can't be natural if you're putting artificial things in your body. So they're turning people artificial more and more day by day. And so now it's to the point where human beings don't even have sex with human beings anymore. It's a robot. They got relationships with robots. People have friendships with robots and AI and all of this stuff. Like, man, it's got to take back control. We got to go back to the natural way of doing things. We got to go back to God. We got to go back internal. We got to be connected again. So, yeah, if there's any man out there, hell, holla at me. We can set up some one-on-ones, do some consultations. This is something that was very difficult for me to deal with. And I know that it's difficult for other people. It's a journey. It's not something that you just over with after a day or two, after a couple weeks. Like, people go to rehab facilities for like a long periods of time to get off of drugs. I don't know if they got rehab facilities for that.
I don't think that they do.
It's something that you got to do on your own. Or you got to
Right.
find some
Or
other
you,
men out
yeah.
here that are on the same journey.
But it's possible though. It's very possible.
It's definitely possible.
Yeah.
Definitely
Yeah.
possible. If I can do it, you can do it. Because
Right.
at my worst, like 2, 3, 4 times in one day, like back to back, like sick, struggling, all because I want to produce some joy, or like I said, the dopamine within my mind. That's all it was about, dopamine. And what I also noticed was when I was out of control, when my life felt out of control, that's one thing I knew I could control. So
Like
if I
control you
felt like I
watching it?
couldn't control, no, like the result, which was like to
Oh.
get that release and to get that dopamine kick, to ejaculate.
Yeah.
I knew without a doubt, if I do this, this happens every single time.
So tell them about the moment when you were literally like done.
So
What that was like.
I'd already started healing from it, doing better, longer periods of time, going without dealing with any pornography. And it was, y'all went out of town and she took all the kids, and just out of nowhere, it just hit me again. And so I did it once, and then I found myself just like hours in this one day, like spending watching pornography and masturbating. And like, I felt horrible. I felt sick. I had to reach out to like all my guys in my group, tell all of them, I need all y'all like to pray for me now because like I'm going through it. And I remember just sitting on the couch and start screaming out like I'm done, like I was crying. I was like, God, like I really, like I don't want to do this no more. And I knew that was different because since I was a teenager, I was like negotiating with God. Like, all right, God, I ain't gonna do this no more. This is the last time. Knowing, subconsciously knowing, I already heard the voice as soon as I said it, like, yeah, you're right, that's a lie. But I'm saying, I'll do this. I won't do it no more. If you could do this, like, start trying to make deals with God. You can't like make deals with God. You can't lie to yourself. So I knew that time, like I was serious. And yeah, I reached out to everybody, told them. They was like, all right, we gonna pray for you. And I fell asleep like right after that. Took like a nap. And it was like I woke up just different. Yeah, just different. Like that desire was no longer there. Now, this is not to say that you don't ever have these thoughts. They don't pop up no more because they still try to pop up. Just like anybody with any kind of bad habit, the thoughts are going to come. But it's all in what you do, how often you think on those thoughts, how you let those thoughts linger, and then if you let that graduate to action. But you got to immediately see it, redirect, and go somewhere else, just like any drug addict would have to do. The only difference is when it comes to this, sex, and when it comes to food, these are two of the biggest drugs. You don't got to go to a certain neighborhood. You don't got to be in a certain environment to be tempted by either of those things. All you got to do is turn on the TV. All you got to do is open your phone, go on social media. All you got to do is go outside. All you got to do is go to a party. It's everywhere. Sex and food, two of the most potent drugs that we're being plagued with. And it's everywhere. So we really got to equip ourselves, and we got to strengthen ourselves, and we just got to make a change.
You know what's so interesting? You dealt with the addiction to pornography, and I dealt with the eating disorder stuff. I think I can look back at our relationship and see like we both have had certain things just like in a different way, but it's almost like on a deeper level. It's like you're dealing with the same type of thing on the surface. It just looks different. And I think that's why we've talked about it before. I understood addiction from a different aspect. I think that's why I wasn't so quick to allow it to affect me in a certain way, because I've dealt with what it feels like to not be able to stop doing something. That was a way that I could relate to in a different way. And although it impacted me, I was still able to be like, bro, I get it.
Yeah.
Like,
we're all reflections of each other. You only attract who you are. That's why we were attracted to each other, because we both had issues that we needed to heal from.
And we didn't
I had
know
a lack of self-love. She had a lack of self-love. I had
Right.
things I was dealing with. She had things that she was dealing with. So
But here
if
we
you're in a
are.
relationship with a person, just know you in a relationship with a person and you see what they're dealing with, just know that you got something to deal with inside yourself.
Right.
That's why you're with that person, because
That's
they're a
when you're
reflection
drawing
of you.
Yeah.
Y'all on the same frequency. So figure out how y'all can help each other heal. If y'all both want to heal, if that's not the case,
Yeah.
You got to keep it pushing. Like, get to someone that can reflect the growth that you want to experience. You know what I'm saying?
Right. Pornography definitely impacts relationships. However, it's not something that you can't heal from. It's not something that you can't grow from. If that's something that has affected your relationship in a negative way, there's a whole side of healing that you as an individual and your relationship can be completely restored from all of that. Like, God can do anything.
So look, guys, if y'all dealing with it, y'all having any issues with this, please reach out to us.
Yeah, yeah.
Yep. So yeah, y'all be safe. Peace to you. And remember, focus on the root, not the fruit.